In this video, I'm going to show you how to record income from customers in QuickBooks Online. I made a video about this several years back, but the QuickBooks interface has changed so much that I wanted to create an updated one. Before recording any income from customers, you'll need to make sure your chart of accounts is set up correctly. So if you've already done this, then you can skip this part of the video. You would just go to Transactions, Chart of Accounts, and you can see that this is a sample company. They already have several income accounts set up. So I'm just going to use these for demonstration. But if you need to create new accounts, you would click on this New button up here in the top right corner. You would choose Income. You would choose what account to save it under. Now you can see that they have some sub accounts here. If you don't want a sub account and you just want a main account, you would just choose Income. But if you want to create a sub account, you would just choose whatever account it would go under. And then the tax forms section, just use whatever makes sense. And then you would give it a name and save. You can also import a chart of accounts by clicking on this drop-down menu and choose Import. Or you can edit existing accounts by just choosing this little drop-down arrow on the right-hand side of any of these accounts. Before I get into the different methods, I want to point out that if you use a third-party payment processing service or app to sell products and services, you can connect those in QuickBooks. So here are the ones that can be connected. You just go to Transactions on the left and then go to the tab called App Transactions. That will bring you to this page. If you use one of these websites, you can just click on Connect Free App and then follow the instructions. This connection will allow you to bring in that data into QuickBooks. So this is one way to record your sales data in QuickBooks. Unfortunately, I don't have an account on one of these to connect, so I am not going to be able to demonstrate it in this video, but I did want to point it out before I go into the other methods so that you know that this is here. Okay, now that we've gone over all of that, let's get into how to record income using the three main ways I'm going to show you today. The first way is to directly record income in a deposit. The second way is going to be recording income with a sales receipt. And the third way is going to be to create a customer invoice. Now, which method you use is going to depend on how you need the information and data presented to you once you make the entries. To record income directly in a deposit, you would just click on this New button in the top right corner. And right here, you would choose Bank Deposit. And then you would enter any information related to that deposit. You would want to put what account you're going to deposit it to. So if it was a cash sale, you might use cash on hand and then later put it in the bank. Or if you are putting it into the checking account or savings account, you might choose one of those accounts. I'm going to choose checking. Then you'd want to put the date, and you could put a customer name here, but this method is if you don't necessarily need to attach it to a customer. Like, for example, if it's cash sales at a trade show and it's random people that you'll never see again, you may just not put anything here. It's up to you, but I'm just going to go ahead and choose a customer anyway, just for demonstration purposes. And then you would choose what account you want to post this sale to. So in this case, I'm going to use Pest Control Services. And I would put the amount that was paid. And I could put a description, a memo, I could attach a file, I could put a payment method, I could put a reference number. So any of that information could be entered. And then I do want to point out that if there are already payments posted to undeposited funds, like these are already in this company, then you could also choose to deposit all of this all in one deposit if you put it all in the bank at the same time. I'm just gonna assume I'm depositing this 150 only, and then I would just save and close. You can also use this drop down arrow on the right to change it to save and new if you're gonna directly record another deposit right after this, if you want a new blank deposit screen to come up. But I'm gonna choose save and close. And that's it. If I want to go to transactions, chart of accounts, I can go to that bank register and see it there. So here's the checking account. I would just click on view register, and there's the 150 deposit. And then I also want to go to the customer screen just to show you what it looks like there. So you would go to sales, customers, and I'm going to choose Bill's Windsurf Shop because that's the customer I put on that deposit. Now you can see that on the screen that $150 deposit does not show up. So if you want customer payments to show up on this customer screen under the customer, you would not use the method that I just used. You would want to use an invoice or a sales receipt. I also want to show you what this looks like on the reports. So I'm going to click on reports on the left. If I run a profit and loss, I will see money under pest control services. I can drill down to see all the transactions. And you can see that the deposit I just created is right here. Let's go back to reports and look at another one. I can also do the profit and loss by customer report. This is a really big report. It's really better to export this to Excel, but you can see that the 150 sale does show up on this report also under Bill's Windsurf Shop. And then I just want to show you one more report. If I go back to reports and this time choose either sales by customer detail or sales by customer summary, I'm going to do the summary one. This time that sale does not show up here. So this is only showing up if it's attached to a product or service, such as on a sales receipt or an invoice, which I'm going to show you later in the video. So if you use this report, then I would not recommend directly recording income on a deposit. Now, some of you have your bank account connected. So instead of going to new bank deposit, you could also just go to your bank transactions and record it there by clicking on whichever line item you want to record. You could put the customer name and whatever income account you want to record this to. Let's just do pest control services again and add that transaction. You can also put memos, add an attachment, and of course any other things, but you can add it here as well. Now let's go to the second and third methods. I'm going to show you how to record income with a sales receipt, and I'm also going to show you how to record income with an invoice. Now, before I can use either one of those methods, I will have to set up products and services. So go to Sales, Products and Services. Now this sample company already has some set up, but if you need to set up a product or service, you would click on New, and you would choose the best category that fits your situation. And then you would set up the details. And right here under income account, this will tell QuickBooks what account you want the transactions to post to. So let me just go ahead and edit one that's already here. I'm going to use this design item. And I do have a separate video on how to set up products and services if you need more detail here. So I'm going to click on edit and just show you what it looks like completed. You would have the name of the product or service and what income account it's going to post to when you use this service. And then you can put in a price if you want to, but you don't have to. And you would choose whether this is taxable or not taxable. And you could also choose, I purchased this product or service from a vendor, if you have vendor bills that you want this to go on as well. Under that, in that case, you would use an expense account. So that's all there is to setting up a product or service. It just tells QuickBooks where to route your income or expenses. Once you have your product or service set up, then you can create invoices and sales receipts. I'm going to demonstrate a sales receipt first. You would click on New, and then here is the option to create a sales receipt. You would choose your customer. I'm going to use the same customer just for demonstration. You would put in details such as payment method, reference number if you want to. You could put an attachment here. And then I'm going to put in whatever product and service I sold. In this case, I'm going to use design. And let's just do 3 hours at $75 an hour, which is a total of $225. And I'm going to assume that this got deposited to the checking account, but I can change this. I like to use undeposited funds if I am batching several payments together into one deposit. But for demonstration, I'm just going to go directly deposit to checking. And then down here at the bottom, there's a couple options. I can save and send a receipt, but I'm just going to save and close. Now, if I go to that customer page by going to sales customers or just clicking on customers right here at the top, I'm going to go to Bill's Windsurf Shop. And as you can see, there's the sales receipt. Now, before we go any further, I want to point out that when you create a sales receipt in QuickBooks, it does treat it as a cash sale. In other words, it's going to treat it as if you have already received the money. So you would not want to create a sales receipt if you have not received the money from the customer yet. You would instead want to create an invoice. And then I can also look in the chart of accounts. Over here on the left, I go to transactions, chart of accounts. And I did deposit that to checking, so I can go to the checking account here and click on View Register. And there's the $225 sales receipt deposited. Let's just look at a couple of reports real quick. So I would go to Reports. I'm going to choose Profit and Loss. And that was design income. So if I click on that number, it will drill down to all the transactions that were posted there. And I can see my sales receipt right here for $225. Okay, let's go back to reports again. This time we're going to look at profit and loss by customer. And there's the $225 right there. And then let's go back again and go back to reports again and look at the sales by customer summary. And there's the $225. So it shows up in all three of those reports and on the customer page. And then the third method to record income from customers is to create a customer invoice. You would want to use this method if you need to send invoices to customers to collect payment. So you would just click on New, and then right here at the top is Invoice. And then I would choose the customer and put any details in this invoice that I wanted to put in. I'm going to use design income again. This time I'm going to use 4 as the quantity, and the total invoice is going to be $300. And then I would want to put the invoice date and the due date. I could change the terms, and it would automatically change the due date for me. I can put a message, I can add an attachment, I can add a discount, and any other details I want to add. And down here on the right, there's a couple options. I can save and close. I can save and send to send it to the customer over email, or I can save and share a link that I would email to the customer. I'm going to go ahead and save and close. And now if I go to that customer under customers, if I click on Bill's Windsurf Shop, you can see that open invoice right here. So when I created the sales receipt, QuickBooks automatically showed it as paid because sales receipts are for when you already have collected the money. But invoices are when you may not have necessarily already collected the money and you are sending it to a customer. Now, if you've already received the money, you can still create an invoice. You just also have to post the payment. So I would create an invoice and then receive payment when I receive the payment. And I would put in the payment date, any details, any reference numbers, and then I would tell QuickBooks where to deposit this to, whether I want to deposit it directly to checking or I want to put it in undeposited funds to save for a batch deposit, or maybe this is a cash payment or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to post a payment yet because I want to show you a few things first. First of all, we're going to go to the chart of accounts. Now, I didn't post the payment yet, so I don't have anything here. I would have to post the payment to checking to have anything here. Right now, that invoice is in accounts receivable. Let's go ahead and look at the reports that we looked at before. Let's go to reports and then the profit and loss. If I go to design income, right now I'm looking at this under accrual basis. Accrual basis means that it is going to show me all the invoices even if I have not received payment yet. But if I chose cash basis, it's only going to show me invoices that I have actually received payment for. So let's look at accrual first. I'm going to click on design income. And you can see both the sales receipt and the invoice are both there. But if I go back and choose cash basis, it only shows me the $225. It does not show me the invoice for this customer for $300 because payment hasn't been posted yet. Okay, let's go back to reports and this time look at the profit and loss by customer. You can see that now both of those items are going to show up under the customer. And then they also both show up if I run a sales by customer summary report. And then once I receive the actual payment, then I would go back here and click on receive payment and go from there. Now I also want to point out that I can do all of these functions from up here, On the top left, I can create an invoice, I can receive a payment, I can create a sales receipt all up here, and I can create a bank deposit. But if I'm on the customer page, I can click on new transaction right here and create an invoice or a sales receipt. When I do it from this screen, it automatically pulls in the customer information because I was on that customer. And that's really all there is to it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. And otherwise, thank you for watching.